Hi, I'm Andy from Roland. I'm here today at Gear4music to talk about Roland's brand new System-500 modular synth. So the System-500 is based on Roland's classic System-100M modular synth, but it's been updated for the modern Eurorack format. It's a collaboration between Roland and an American modular manufacturer, Moleco Heavy Industry, and all of the modules are now made in Japan, or 100% analog circuitry. We launched the original 5 modules about 18 months ago, and now we have 4 new modules to go along with them, and we're going to take a look at them. So for those of you who are brand new to modular synths, we're just going to take a quick second to explain the difference between a modular synth and a standard synthesizer that you might find in a shop. So a standard synthesizer with a keyboard attached to it has a predefined signal path. So when you play notes on the keyboard, you trigger a sound from an oscillator, it'll go through a filter, through an amp, and then finally out into the speaker. The advantage of a modular synth is that there is no fixed pattern that the signal has to go through. You can mix and match modules from different companies, you can completely change the order of the signal, route it from oscillators straight into amps, through to effects, back into filters, and then back out again, and really go to town on your creativity. You can make sounds that you couldn't possibly make in other synthesizers. So they're a really exciting option to go down if you're into sound design. So we're going to begin by taking a quick look at the first 5 modules that came out. Starting from the left-hand side, we have the dual VCO 512, then we have the dual VCF filter 521, then we have a dual VCA 530, we have a dual envelope generator with an LFO, which is a 540, and then we also had the 572, which is an effects module. So this one had a phaser, a short delay, another LFO, and a gate delay as well. I'm going to go through some quick sound examples now to show you how to patch through. So we're going to start with the 512, which is the dual VCO. This is our sound generator. So the thing to bear in mind with modular synths is, unlike a keyboard where you have to play a key to make a sound, the VCO on a modular synth is always running, so it's always creating a sound. So if I patch in our saw wave into the mixer, we'll just get a sound straight away. And I can change the octave shifting of that. And I can also tune it. As well as a saw wave, we have a triangle wave. And we also have a square wave. Square wave has pulse width on it as well. And because it's a dual VCO, we have 2 sounds that we can run out of it. So I can also patch another sound. So I'll take a saw wave, combine it with a square wave into another channel on the mixer. So now we have 2 waveforms that are combined together, and I was just fine-tuning them there. To make a really thick sound. Now, because it's just generating a constant sound, if we wanted to actually put in some note information, we have to go into the key input. So to my left here, we've got a Roland SH01A boutique module, which has got a CV and gate output on it. So if I go out of the CV and plug into the key input, we can use this to run a pattern. So this is not playing any sound itself, we're just using it to generate a pattern. So that makes a really thick sound. It's great sounding. So what we're going to move on now to the 521, which is the filter. So I can take both my outputs of my waveforms and go into the filter. Turn up the input level of those. And now I can take the output of my filter and go back into the mixer. And then I have my cutoff and resonance here, so I can control those from a filter. It sounds great because it's all 100% analog circuitry. Yeah, it's fantastic. So we have a dual filter on there, so I can combine up to 6 signals if I wanted to and go through 2 separate filters. There's also a high-pass filter in them. But I'm going to have a quick look at the VCA. So the sound that we're generating from the pattern at the moment, it's all very consistent notes. So it's all, it's full sustain. But we don't have a lot of control over the sound. So that's why we're going to use the VCA, but we're also going to have to use the envelope generator to generate part of the sound. So I'm going to take my output of the mixer, plug it into the first input on the VCA, take another cable, output from here, into the mixer again. So now I can modulate this using the envelope generator. So we're going to take another cable out of the gate output of the SH01A into the external input of the envelope generator. Then we're also going to take an output of this and go into the modulation of the VCA. Turn down my initial gain. So by changing the envelope, so the attack, decay, sustain, release of this, I can now have some more control over the sound, as we were just showing on there. So the VCA, you have up to 6 inputs on there, and you can patch in up to 6 different modulation sources at the bottom there, which is fantastic. On the dual envelope generator, we've also got an LFO. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to use that to control the pulse width of our oscillator. So we take an output from here for any of these shapes. So we can go from square wave, triangle, saw waves, reverse saw waves, but I'm going to use the sine wave at the end here. And again, we're going to go straight into the pulse width up the top in the oscillator section. So I can also change the speed of that. And create some really cool sounds out of it. So lastly, we have the 572 module. I'm just going to quickly show you the phaser and the delay. If I take my output from the mixer and go straight into the input, and then take another cable to go from the output into the input of here. So now the signal is going to be, the whole signal that we've made so far is going to be running through the phaser. So that's a really great sounding phaser. Likewise, underneath here, we've got a very short delay. Patch in exactly the same way. That's really great for just thickening out sounds. And then this module is also completed by a gate delay and also another LFO, so you can expand the options that you're doing. So now we're going to take a quick look through the brand new modules that we've added to the System-500. Starting on the left-hand side, we've got the 510, which is an all-in-one synth module, which has a VCO, a filter, and an amp section. Moving on to the 505, this is a dual filter, which is based on Roland's SH5 classic analog synth, so it's got a really distinct sound, which is really, really nice. Then we have the 555 module, which is lag and sample and hold, but it has a lot of different functions. So we have portmanteau, another LFO, ring modulator, noise generator, and a sample and hold. And then lastly, we have the 531 mix. So this is a 6-input mixer, which has got 6 mute buttons, 6 faders, 6 pan controls, so you can run things in stereo, which can be CV controlled. Then we have 1/4-inch outputs, which is great. So if you want to plug into just your normal audio equipment and interface with other gear, that'll do that nicely. You have a headphone output, so you can make noise late at night. And we also have a pre-input for a microphone or a line signal, which will distort nicely if you crank it up to the top. So the 510 all-in-one synth module is partially pre-normaled. So that means when I connect from my output straight into the mixer, we should get some sound straight away. So that's pre-normaled as just being a square wave. But as you can see on the top there, we also have a triangle wave and a saw wave and pulse width modulation. But this also routes through the filter automatically and straight into the amp section. But we're gonna, in the same way that we did before, we're gonna run a pattern from the SH01A, and then we'll go through the 505 filter to have a bit of a listen to that. So we go from the output of the synth into the input of the filter, and then the output of the filter into the input of the mixer. Let's have a listen to this SH5 style filter. It's got a real kind of distinct sound to it. And if we put it in bandpass mode, and high pass mode as well. So that sounds great. On the right-hand side, it's just fixed in bandpass mode, but as I say, you can combine signals and blend them together, which is quite cool. Moving over to the 555 now, so this is a bit of a function box, so we're going to look at things like portmanteau and the sample and hold. So, to run it into the portmanteau, I have to go straight from the CV of the SH01A into the CV input of the portmanteau, and then go back out of that into the key input of my synth, and then go from the output into the mixer. And I control the speed of it from here. So that's really cool. At the bottom we have another LFO, so I can use that to combine to change the pulse width modulation, for instance, as we did before. So I'll just go from sine output into pulse width modulation, crank those up a bit, and then I'll adjust the level. Great for making some really thick kind of sounds, which is amazing. So we've also got a pink and white noise generator. So to show you those quickly. Go into a separate channel. So that's just pink noise and white noise. But we can route those through the filter perhaps. So maybe I could, instead of controlling the pulse width modulation, I'm going to control the filter sweep of that. So take it from the LFO into frequency. So make a bit of a kind of wind sound, which is pretty cool. Then we have a ring modulator. So I'm just going to have to undo most of what I've done here to show you that. And this is the joys of modular synth, a lot of fun. So for this one, I'm going to combine a saw wave into X, and then I will take a square wave from our 512 module, go into Y. Now another cable from ring modulator out into input 1. which sounds amazing. So we're going to have a quick look at the sample and hold now. So I take the sample and hold out, and I'm going to plug it into the modulation input of the 510. So we have a few different wave shapes that we can choose. So you can have standard sine, saw, reverse saw, triangle, square wave. But what we were using there with the noise generator, so we can flip between pink and white noise generators, which gives us real random sounds. And make lots of really, really random noises, which is amazing. Lastly, let's take a look at the mixer. For this one, I'm just going to revert back to the 512 so I can generate two different waveforms. So we're going into the key input of that. I'm going to take my square wave, and I'm also going to take a saw wave into 1 and 2. So. So now we've got two waveforms. So we have 6 inputs that we can choose, each with their own volume controls and each with a mute button, which we've been using. Underneath the 6 faders, we've also got a pan control for each one. So if you listen now on some headphones, I'm going to unmute them and then we'll widen them out and you should be able to hear them in each ear. What's really cool is now we can automate that panning by using an LFO. So if I take the LFO out from the 505, use the, let's use a saw wave for this one. So now you should hear one of them sort of jumping across. So you can see once you combine a lot of these elements together, there's a whole world of sound design that you can get into. The System-500 is a fantastic route into modular synths. If you've already got a system, grab some of these modules because it'll bring the Roland sound into your setup. I'm Andy from Roland. Thanks very much for watching this video about the Roland System-500. If you would like more information, please visit Gear4music's website. Bye for now.